ambulance crews. A few hours earlier, a man in his 50s died after a fight outside a betting shop. The deaths take the number of suspected murders in the capital so far to more than 50. Well, our correspondent John McManus is in Hackney for us now. John.
Yes, it was just before 8 o'clock last night that officers on patrol were flagged down by a motorist who directed them to this spot, Link Street in Hackney, where they found a man, an 18-year-old man, who was suffering from stab wounds. The officers administered first aid. They also called in the London Air Ambulance, but unfortunately they were unable to save him. In the last half hour, police say that two 17-year-olds have been arrested on suspicion of murder. They haven't named the victim, though, until the next of kin have been informed. Meanwhile, on the same day yesterday, not very far from here, less than 2 miles in fact, a 53-year-old man was found injured outside a bookmaker's. Police say he'd been involved in an altercation. Again, the London Air Ambulance was called, but they were unable to save his life, and he died at the scene. He hasn't been named either. Police are waiting to speak to his next of kin, and no arrests have been made in that case yet. But many people being affected by what seems to be a spate of violent attacks in London, leading to people's deaths. The Metropolitan Police say that more than 50 people have now been killed in London since the beginning of the year, and they say that 34 of those deaths were by stabbings, 7 by gunshot wounds, and they say that 11 teenagers were victims and at least 10 people in their 40s. So a wide range of people being affected by this. The local MP here for Hackney and the Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott says that this is a problem that must be sorted, and she says that perhaps police cuts that have happened in the past few years may have played a part.
It's been quite horrific, this spate of knife and gun crime, and all over London there must be mothers waking up and thinking that they can say goodbye to their sons this morning, but will they see them later on in the day? There are a whole series of things that need to happen. First and foremost, we need more police officers on the street. Here in Hackney, we've lost 1 in 4 police officers since 2010. It is impossible to deal with gang crime, knife crime, gun crime, unless you have the right level of neighbourhood policing. But law enforcement can't solve things on their own. We also need to work with schools, with mental health services, with social workers.
So more than 50 murders in London this year, violent attacks that Diane Abbott wants something done about. Many people, of course, very shocked, and these incidents affecting families, really tearing families apart. I told you about the 2 incidents that happened here in Hackney yesterday. Earlier in the week, of course, 16-year-old Aman Shakur was killed. He was a teenager who was shot in the face in Walthamstow. He died a day later. And 17-year-old Tanisha Melbourne, who was gunned down in what appears to be a drive-by shooting in Tottenham. So a vast amount of people from different backgrounds being affected by this. The authorities say this is a London-wide problem which requires a London-wide solution. Julian.
John, thank you. John McManus there in Hackney.